Now, you're probably thinking, what's in the box? I wonder. Let's have a look. Oh, it's stiff today. Hang on. Oh, dear me. Oh, that's tricky. Oh, what's this? What's this? What's this? Leaves. Leaves. Now let me ponder this one. These aren't any kind of leaves. These leaves, you're waiting for me to say, these are M&S. Sweetly plucked eucalyptus leaves. Well, they are eucalyptus leaves. They're not any old leaf. These are the eucalyptus leaves of a eucalyptus tree, which can only mean one thing. Today's story is about the koala. Now, before I start the story, please allow me to have a little sip of water. And water in the story is very, very important indeed. Now, I do feel sorry for the poor koala bear. Incredibly sorry. The poor koala has had a really, really rough time recently with all those forest fires. In fact, not just a rough time, it's had an absolutely disastrous time. Terrible time, and I felt really, really sorry. Well, I felt sorry for all the animals, but particularly the koala bear. There was something about the koala bear which just makes it seem all the more tragic. I mean, the poor koala bear is just so cute, and that seems to really, it just seems to make it so much worse. It makes me even angrier. It is such a cute animal. I mean, come on, those big fluffy ears of it, the clever grabbing fingers, yeah, the wise expression on its face, the big smiley mouth, the white fluffy tummy tum, and of course the great big comedy nose. What is not to like? My goodness me, probably one of the cutest animals on the entire planet. But you know something? It's not actually a bear. No, it is a marsupial. It is a marsupial belonging to a certain family called the... You ready? The Phascolarctidae. Yeah, the Phascolarctidae family. Phascolarctidae. Will you please say it with me? You can break it down. Phascolarctidae. Phascolarctidae. Yeah. So I should have put a more nerdy voice on for that. Actually, my friends, it's called the Phascolarctidae. Yes, the Phascolarctidae marsupial. It is not a bear. Please don't use the term bear. But don't worry, this is not going to be a biology lesson because it is now story time. So, my friends, are you all ears? Good. Koala was a boy before he was a bear. Phascolarctidae, actually. And he lived in Australia before Australia was actually Australia. Australia didn't have a name once upon a time. In fact, at the time of once upon a time, it was really just dream time. That's what the people who've always lived in Australia call it. The dream time. That's their olden days and all their stories and all their legends, all wrapped up in a bundle. Yeah, the dream time. So once upon a time, in the time of dreams, there lived a boy called Koala. But he was lazy. He was so very lazy. Oh my goodness me. He would do anything he could to get out of work. Anything. Do you remember that story I told a couple of weeks ago about the little red hen? And how he lived with, or she rather, lived with a lazy cat, a lazy rat, and a lazy pig, yeah? And they were so lazy they wouldn't do any of the work at all, but they all wanted to reap the rewards. Well, Koala the Boy was just like that, yeah, but much worse. take the cat, the rat and the pig, multiply them by 10 and you're pretty close to getting towards what Koala was like. So lazy! But he had that kind of smooth charm about him. Yeah, that certain smile, that little glint in his eye. A bit like the story I did yesterday. Medio Polito could get away with almost anything. And it was really hard to get angry with Koala the Boy. I'm sorry for all you Koala Bear fans, by the way, because you probably don't want to hear that your favourite animal originated with a very, very lazy boy. But remember, in the dream time, Koala was a boy and not a bear, or Phascolarctidae. So please, everyone, bear with me. Ha 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 ha. Koala the Boy hated work, but most of all, he hated fetching water. It was just a really hard slog for him to go all that way from the camp in the hot, hot sun, walkie, over to the watering hole to fill up these bottles. In fact, they weren't called bottles. I'll tell you more about those in a moment. To fill them up with water and carry them all the way back to the camp. He hated it. So whenever he could, he managed to get out of collecting water. Yeah. He would always come up with some excuse like, I'll just look after this tree. I'll just keep lookout. Yeah, I'll just watch this insect to make sure it doesn't get up to any funny business. He managed to get out of water carrying quite often. And although people got angry, he managed to get away with it most of the time. Now one day, the men were out hunting and the women were out collecting roots and berries and various fruits and nuts. And Koala, well, he was just lying back in his tree, yawning away, enjoying the sunshine, soaking up those rays, just enjoying life. The smell of the tree he was in smelt delightful. He watched little insects crawling along the branches like this, the little caterpillar. Ooh, always hungry, the caterpillar, we know about that. Birds were singing, tweet, tweet. Bees were buzzing, buzz, buzz. And he was having a most relaxed time, yawning away. But he got quite thirsty up in that tree. The sun was very hot that day after all, and he was just lying there, back in the tree, one leg dangling, one arm dangling, almost like a panther or a lion or a gibbon. Yeah, there he was, enjoying that sunshine. But he was very, very thirsty. So he climbed down from the tree looking for water. Now, in those days, people used to collect water, not in a bottle like I mentioned earlier, but they would collect them in something called a coulamon. That is a fantastic word, by the way. Coulamon. Let's break it down. Coulamon. Can you please say it with me? Coulamon. Perfect. A coulamon is a water carrier of most shapes and sizes. I found that difficult to say. Most shapes and sizes. And most of the time, in those olden days, they would make their coulamons out of something called a gourd. Now, a gourd is somewhere between a coconut and a watermelon, or a coconut and a pumpkin. Yeah, it's a vegetable. Okay, it grows in the shape of it might look like a melon, it might look like a butternut squash. Have you ever seen one of those? Sort of like, woo, like that. Woo. And people would take off the top, scoop out the innards. Sometimes you can eat the innards, get rid of the pips, and then let the whole thing dry out and it becomes woody, a bit like a coconut shell. And you could put water in them. And people would, they would bury these in the ground. They would make a little stopper out of another piece of wood, or sometimes a bark called cork, or sometimes even mud, clay. They would put that over the top and they would bury these coulamons in the earth. And that was to keep them cool, mainly. But in the tribe of Koala, they buried them to hide them from Koala, because they knew that he would always try and steal them. And that's exactly what he wanted to do. He climbed out of his tree looking for water, and he knew they would be buried around somewhere. So he looked under this bit and looked under that bit and lifted up this rock and looked under this bit of bark, and he couldn't find them, and he started to get angry. "Oh," said Koala, "oh, I'm angry." And he started kicking at the earth. But as he kicked the earth, his toe stubbed on something. "Ow," he said at first, but then he looked down and he could see the top of a coolamon sticking out of the earth. "Ho, ho, ho, ho," he said, "I found one." And he dug a bit deeper, and he found another, and another, and another. "Oh, those silly people," he said. "They've buried them all together. Now I found one, I have found them all." And he took all the coolamons out of the earth. Well, straight away he drank one. Oh, and my goodness me, the water out of this first coolamon, it tasted so good. It was sweet and cold and clear, and it tasted delightful. It tasted magical even. Somehow the water had taken on the taste of that gourd that had been left in under the ground, and oh, it was delightful. And on a very, very hot day, there's no finer drink than cold water. He liked it so much he emptied another one. Glug, 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 glug. Ah! And he threw the coolamon away. A third one. Glug, 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 glug. Ah! Chuck it away. But then he thought, I know what, I'm going to hide these in my own secret place. So one by one, he carried them up his favourite gum tree. And sometimes coolamons, this is my water bottle by the way, coolamons, they have a bit of leather string tied round them to hold the cork in place, the stopper. And he hung all the coolamons off the gum tree. Now let me tell you about gum trees before you're thinking, oh, this is getting too educational, this story. I don't like it. A gum tree is actually a eucalyptus tree. And they're called gum trees because the eucalyptus tree sometimes has a very sticky kind of glue that comes out of it, which is called resin. Yeah. And sometimes you can get this on your fingers and it is very, very sticky. Now, there are lots of different types of eucalyptus tree. There is the, hang on, I'm going to have to put on my special voice here, the Eucalyptus globulus, which is rather round and bushy. There is the Eucalyptus grandis, which is very, very tall. And there is also the, the Eucalyptus robusta, yes, which is very, very tough. And you don't want to mess around with a Eucalyptus robusta. And you mustn't get the gum tree mixed up with the tree that's in the Twits story. If you know this, do you know the story about the Twits, Mr. and Mrs. Twit by Roald Dahl? Fantastic story. But in that, Mr. Twit covers his tree in his back garden with glue. Hug-tight, sticky glue. He covers it in the glue so he can catch birds. What a horrible man! I bet he never worked for the RSPB. Anyway, Koala the Boy took all these coolamons and he hung them off the branches of his favourite gum tree. And he lay back, and he relaxed, and he knew he didn't have a care in the world. But the gum tree grew and grew and grew and grew. It grew so high. It grew as high as a giraffe in a top hat. It grew as high as a diplodocus's neck. Yeah, it grew as high as a magic beanstalk. Because this eucalyptus tree, this gum tree that he was lying in and had put the coolamons all over, it was a magic tree. And in the time of dream time, any magic, oh my goodness me, is very strong magic. Well, Koala, he held tightly onto the branches of the tree as it grew up, and he got really, really worried. Although he was a good climber, he was a long way up, and there were no branches for him to get down. It's just one huge trunk. It must have been the Eucalyptus grandis, I would say. And there he was at the top, shivering and shaking. But after a while, he got a bit more relaxed. He thought, actually, this is quite cool being up here. I quite like it. I've got all this water. I don't need to worry at all. Oh, and he yawned and he lay back, and again he was quite chilled up very high in that tree. Anyway, very soon his tribe came back, and their first thought was, oh, we're so thirsty, we're parched, we need our water, where's our water? And they could see that there were 3 empty coolamons on the floor, and they panicked. And there was this big hole where they'd all been, where's our water? And the next thing they said was, my goodness me, where did this massive tree come from? I don't remember this tree being this tall. I thought it was a Eucalyptus robusta. I didn't realise it was a Eucalyptus grandis. And then they looked around and they said, where is Koala? They looked at the empty coolamons, they looked all on the floor, they looked and realised that there were no coolamons left. They looked up in the top of the tree and they could see them hanging off the branches, and there was Koala, and he was waving down at them. Cooey! 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 They were furious. Come down now! Bring our coolamons back! We need our water! We're thirsty! We've been working all day! We've caught meat! We've got vegetables! Come down now, you lazy, lazy boy! No! I won't! Ha ha ha! He said, you can't catch me. I'm safe up here in my tall gum tree. Ho ho! I'm not going to get you. You're not going to get me. And he reached over, grabbed a coolamon, and he chucked it down at his tribe. It landed on someone's head. Ow! Well, 2 of the tribe, they started climbing up the branches. Not the branches, they climbed up the trunk of the tree like this, but the tree trunk was smooth like this, and he poured water over them. What a waste of water! He just poured water on them, saying, ha ha ha! You can't get me! I'm safe up here in my tall gum tree. The people slid down, and then 2 more tried, and they got closer and closer, and when they got very close to him, he started wailing, no, 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 please don't, no, 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 and he emptied another coolamon and dripped water all over them. They slid down, what a waste of water, and then again he threw the empty coolamon on someone's head. Ow! That hurt! But then the chief, who as well had some strong magic about him, he looked up at the tree and he said, Koala, if you want to stay up in that tree, you can live in that tree. And he tapped the trunk 3 times, which we all know by now is a very, very magical and strong number. And something strange happened to the boy Koala. His fingers started growing. And he looked down at his toes, and his toes started growing as well. They grew fat and long with little pads at the end. And he looked at his nails, his fingernails, and they were growing black, curved, and hooked like claws. His smooth brown skin became soft grey fur. His ears became large and tufty. And his nose started to grow across his face. It got bigger and bigger, and it turned black. Koala the Boy was now Koala the Bear. Sorry, the marsupial Phascolarctidae, I should say. Everyone was amazed. Oh, look at that! Wow, strong magic. Wow, fantastic, amazing. But doesn't he look cute? No one could get angry with him anymore because he looked so cute. And you know what? Koala the Bear, the Phascolarctidae, is actually still rather lazy. I'm sorry, all you koala fans, but he is. The koala is still quite lazy because rather than climb down from that tree and find water in a stream or a watering hole, he'd rather stay up in the tree, and every time he gets thirsty, he starts chewing on the leaves of the eucalyptus, which give him just about enough water. And the eucalyptus tree itself remembers the time when Koala the Boy climbed up there. Because if you look closely at the branches, I don't know if you can see that, you'll notice that these little seed pods look just like the Koulamons, because the Koulamons shrunk in the sunshine while he was up there, and they got smaller and smaller and smaller. And there we have the story of Koala. And do you know what? If anyone tries to climb up a eucalyptus tree when there's a koala in there, the koala, in his own language, says, "No! Go away! Go away!" Well, my friends, that is the end of today's story. I hope you've enjoyed it. There'll be another one tomorrow. Tomorrow's quite a wonky story, I have to tell you. I'll tell you now. I'll give you warning. But if you've liked this story and you would like any others with the marvellous music of Martin Thornton, don't forget to visit our website. But in the meantime, please stay safe. Please stay healthy. Please look after each other. And of course, TTFN.